Welcome back to the pre-learning module for Ship Safety Course, Part 2A. As shown in the slide, Section 4 is about IMO conventions covered by the course. The background, objectives, and the outlines of these conventions are briefly explained. Classroom lectures in JICA Yokohama are mostly presented by experienced surveyors or inspectors, who will provide detailed explanations regarding the requirements of the conventions and the procedures for the surveys or inspections. This part, Part 2A of the module, covers the first half of the chapters 1, 2.1, 2.2, and 3 of SOLAS 1974. 4.1 SOLAS 1974 International Convention for the Safety of Life at Sea 1974. SOLAS is the most important convention for ship safety. The picture shows the SOLAS book, which was newly published by IMO. In classroom lectures, we shall be using this book. JICA will prepare the rulebooks containing IMO conventions for all participants. The slide also provides an overview of Section 4.1 of SOLAS 1974. 4.1.1 Background. 4.1.2 History of Amendments to SOLAS 1974. 4.1.3 Outline of SOLAS 1974. This slide provides a brief historical background of SOLAS. The first version, SOLAS 1914, was introduced after the sinking of Titanic on 14 April 1912, when the ship collided with an iceberg, killing more than 1,500 passengers and crew. The government of the UK proposed holding a conference to develop international regulations. The conference introduced new international requirements relating to navigational safety. Although the convention was adopted on 20th January 1914, it did not enter into force due to the wars. Many lives were lost in the First World War. However, it ushered in numerous technological innovations for ship safety and led to the introduction of a new convention, the 1929 version of SOLAS. It contained some 60 articles and came into force in 1933. The Second World War further introduced several technological innovations. In 1948, the UK hosted an international conference to formulate a new convention that covers a wider range of ships, such as cargo ships. In order to keep up with the rapid developments of the industry, the 1960 convention was adopted on 17 June 1960 and entered into force on 26 May 1965. The intention was to keep the convention up to date. However, the amendment procedure proved to be very slow, as the amendment procedure adopted was, so-called, an explicit style. It needed to be accepted by 2/3 of the parties before entering into force. 5. SOLAS 1974. The SOLAS 1974 conference was held in London and attended by 71 countries. The current version of the convention was adopted there. It is unlikely to be replaced by a new instrument, because it includes a new procedure, so-called tacit amendment procedure, in Article 8. The tacit acceptance procedure is designed to ensure that changes could be made within a specified short period of time. Instead of requiring 2/3 of the parties, the tacit acceptance procedure provides that an amendment shall enter into force on a specified date unless objections to the amendment are raised by an agreed number of parties. Consequently, the 1974 convention, which entered into force on 25 May 1980, has been updated and amended on numerous occasions. However, please note that this tacit acceptance procedure is adopted for amendments to the Annex other than those on Chapter 1. These chapters provide various technical standards, and they have been maintained and updated by this amendment procedure. On the other hand, the articles of the Convention and the regulations of Chapter 1 shall not be amended by the tacit acceptance procedure, and they are still under the explicit acceptance procedure, which needs 2/3 of the member states' acceptance to become effective. This slide explains two protocols relating to SOLAS 1974. Protocol is a legal term. It is an international agreement. The protocol updates, amends, and absorbs the parent convention, taking into account the technological advancements in the years and the need to take a pragmatic approach to encourage ratification of the instrument. The Protocol 1978 to SOLAS 1974 was adopted at the International Conference on Tanker Safety and Pollution Prevention in response to numerous tanker accidents during the years 1976 and 1977. The conference adopted certain measures with regard to tanker design and operation, which were incorporated into both the SOLAS Protocol of 1978 and the 1978 MARPOL Protocol. The Protocol 1978 relating to SOLAS 1974 made numerous important changes to Chapter 1, including the introduction of unscheduled inspection system, mandatory annual surveys, and the strengthening of port state control requirements. The Protocol 1988 relating to SOLAS 1974 is the protocol that was introduced to harmonise the survey and certification system of SOLAS and Load Line Convention. It would enable the surveys for both conventions to be carried out simultaneously. This slide shows the major amendments to SOLAS 1974. Let us examine some of the ones indicated in red. The 1983 amendment included major changes to life-saving appliances and introduced the IBC code, International Bulk Chemical Code for chemical tankers, and the IGC code, International Gas Carrier Code for gas carriers. The 1988 amendment introduced GMDSS, Global Maritime Distress and Safety System, which replaced traditional radio equipment that used Morse code. The 1994 amendment introduced the ISM code, International Safety Management Code. The 2002 amendment introduced the ISPS code, International Code for Security of Ships and of Port Facilities in response to the September 11 attacks in the United States. The 2014 amendment introduced III Code, IMO Instrument Implementation Code for IMO Member States Audit Scheme, and Polar Code for ships operating in the Antarctic and Arctic. This slide shows the structure of SOLAS 1974. SOLAS 1974 comprises 13 articles, followed by an annex of 16 chapters. This module covers the Chapter 1, 2.1, 2.2, and 3. Let me remind you about the amendment procedures again. The articles and the regulations of Chapter 1 shall not be amended by the tacit acceptance procedure, but by the explicit acceptance procedure, which needs acceptance by 2/3 of the parties, because it is designed to maintain the basic structure of the Convention. Chapter 1 provides general provisions for the annex of this Convention. All other chapters provide various technical requirements. These chapters were amended and/or added when major causalities or innovations in the shipping industry occurred under the tacit amendment procedure. This slide is about a grandfather clause, a legal term. Article 8 of SOLAS 1974 may be considered as a grandfather clause. As it states, any amendment to the present convention made under this article, which relates to the structure of a ship, shall apply only to ships whose keels are laid on or after the date on which the amendment becomes applicable. In other words, the amendments to the construction shall not apply to the ships which were built before the date. The previous provisions relating to structure of the ship are still applicable to the ship built before the date. However, the new amendments to equipment or fitting may apply to the ships which were built before the date. This is the basic idea for the application of the regulations regarding shipbuilding. 4.1.4 SOLAS Chapter 1 General Provisions. Chapter 1 provides general provisions for the annex of this convention. The slide shows the structure as follows. Part A, application of the convention and definitions of the words used in the regulations. Part B, surveys and certification system, which provides the duties of flag state administrations and port states regarding surveys, certifications, and port state control. Part C provides casualty investigation as a duty of each administration. Regulation 1 application. Unless expressly provided otherwise, the present regulation of the Annex apply only to ships engaged in international voyages. Regulation 2 provides definitions. Please note that these are important definitions. A passenger ship is a ship which carries more than 12 passengers. A cargo ship is any ship which is not a passenger ship. A tanker is a cargo ship constructed or adapted for the carriage in bulk of liquid cargoes of an inflammable nature. A fishing vessel is a vessel used for catching fish, whales, or other living resources of the sea. New ship means a ship the keel of which is laid or which is at a similar stage of construction on or after 25th May 1980. Existing ship means a ship which is not a new ship. Anniversary date is the day and the month of each year, which will correspond to the date of expiry of the relevant certificate. Regulation 3. Exceptions. The present regulations, unless expressly provided otherwise, do not apply to 1. Ships of war and troop ships. 2. Cargo ships of less than 500 gross tonnage. 3. Ships not propelled by mechanical means. 4. Wooden ships of primitive build. 5. Pleasure yachts not engaged in trade. 6. Fishing vessels. Regulation 6 is inspection and survey. The inspection and survey of ships shall be carried out by officers of the administration. The administration may also delegate to the surveyors of the recognised organisations. The administration shall, as a minimum, empower the surveyors to 1. Determine whether a ship requires repairs. 2. Carry out inspections and surveys if requested by the authorities of a port state. When the surveyor determines that the ship is unfit to proceed to sea, the surveyor shall immediately ensure that corrective action is taken and notify the administration. In every case, the administration shall fully guarantee the completeness and efficiency of the inspection and survey. Regulation 7. Surveys of passenger ships. The slide shows the typical survey schedule of a passenger ship. Passenger ships shall be subject to 1. Initial survey, IS, before the ship is put in service. 2. Renewal survey, RS, once every 12 months. 3. Additional surveys, whenever any important repairs or renewals are made. Regulation 8. Surveys of life-saving appliances and other equipment of cargo ships. The slide shows the typical survey schedule of a cargo ship regarding cargo ship safety equipment certificate. Cargo ships of 500 gross tonnage and upwards shall be subject to 1. Initial survey, IS, before the ship is put into service. 2. Renewal survey, RS, at intervals specified by the administration but not exceeding 5 years. 3. Periodical survey, within 3 months before or after the second anniversary date, or within 3 months before or after the third anniversary date of the cargo ship safety equipment certificate. 4. Annual survey, within 3 months before or after each anniversary date of the cargo ship safety equipment certificate. 5. Additional survey, whenever any important repairs or renewals are made. Regulation 9. Surveys of radio installations of cargo ships. The slide shows the typical survey schedule of a cargo ship regarding cargo safety radio certificate. Cargo ships to which Chapters 3 and 4 apply, 300 gross tonnage and upwards, shall be subject to initial survey, renewal survey, periodical survey, and additional survey as required. Regulation 10. Surveys of structure, machinery, and equipment of cargo ships. The slide shows the typical survey schedule of a cargo ship regarding cargo safety construction certificate. Cargo ships of 500 gross tonnage and upwards shall be subject to initial survey, renewal survey, intermediate survey, annual survey, and additional survey as required. Special attention should be paid to the provision of 2 inspections of the outside of the ship's bottom during the 5-year period. Regulation 11. Maintenance of conditions after survey. A. The condition of ship and equipment shall be maintained in all respects to proceed to sea without risking danger to the ship. B. No change shall be made without the administration's approval. C. Whenever an accident occurs to a ship or a defect is discovered which affects the safety of the ship, the master or owner shall report to the administration and RO responsible for issuing the relevant certificate. If the ship is in a port, the appropriate authorities of the port state shall ascertain that such a report has been made. Regulation 12. Issue or endorsement of certificates. Certificates shall be issued after initial survey or a renewal survey to a passenger ship safety certificate, a cargo ship safety construction certificate, SC, cargo ship safety equipment certificate, SE, and cargo ship safety radio certificate, SR, or Cargo Ship Safety Certificate CS as an alternative to SC, SE and SR. Exemption certificate shall additionally be issued when an exemption is granted to a ship under and in accordance with the provisions of the present regulations. Record of equipment shall be supplemented to PS, SE, SR and CS. In every case, the administration assumes full responsibility for the certificates. Regulation 19. Control. Every ship when in port of another contracting government is subject to control. More explanation is provided in Section 4.8, Port State Control, in Part 7 of the module. Regulation 21. Casualties. Each administration undertakes to conduct an investigation of any casualty occurring to any of its ships when it judges it may assist in determining what changes in the present regulations might be desirable. In addition to the provision, the investigation shall be conducted in accordance with the provisions of Casualty Investigation Code, provided by Regulation 6 in Chapter 11.1. SOLAS Chapter 2.1 is construction of structure, subdivision and stability, machinery and electrical installations. The chapter covers areas listed in the slide. The chapter also provides the mandatory codes such as Noise Code for protection against noise, Intact Stability Code for the minimum requirements of ship stability, and IGF Code for safety for ships using gases or other low flashpoint fuels. Regulation 3-1 includes additional requirements other than the regulations in this convention. Ships shall be designed, constructed and maintained in compliance with structural, mechanical and electrical requirements of a recognized classification society or with applicable national requirements of an administration structural, mechanical and electrical requirements for ships. The slide shows the difference between the definitions for weathertight and watertight and the doors equipped above and under the freeboard deck. Regulation 3-3 Safe Access to Tanker Bows. Every tanker shall be provided with the means to enable crew to gain safe access to the bow, even in severe weather conditions. In this regulation, tankers means oil tankers, chemical tankers, and gas carriers. Such means of access shall be fitted with shelters at intervals not exceeding 45 metres, which shall be approved by the administration based on the guidelines of the resolution MSC 6267. Regulation 3-4 Emergency Towing Arrangements and Procedure. Emergency towing arrangements shall be fitted at both ends of every tanker, not less than 20,000 tons dead weight. For tankers constructed on or after 1 July 2002, it shall be capable of rapid deployment in the absence of main power. At least one emergency towing arrangement shall be pre-rigged for urgent use. According to this regulation, tankers means oil tankers, chemical tankers and gas carriers as well. Regulation 3.8 Towing and Mooring Equipment. This regulation applies to ships constructed on or after 1 January 2007. It shall meet the appropriate requirements of the administration or a recognised organisation. Each fitting shall be clearly marked, taking into account the strength of its attachment to the ship's structure. Regulation 3-9 Means of embarkation on and disembarkation from ships. For ships constructed on or after 1 January 2010, gangways or accommodation ladders shall be constructed and installed based on the guidelines. For all ships, the means shall be inspected and maintained to ensure that it is kept in a suitable condition. All wires used to support the means shall be maintained as specified in Regulation 20.4 of Chapter 3. The wires shall be replaced at intervals of not more than 5 years. Regulation 3-12 Protection against Noise. 1. The Code on Noise Levels on board ships shall apply to ships of 1,600 gross tonnage and above and delivered on or after 1 July 2018. 2. On ships delivered before 1 July 2018, measures shall be taken to reduce machinery noise in machinery spaces to acceptable levels as determined by the administration. Code on Noise Levels on board ships was adopted by Resolution A468 12th for the reference. Regulation 5 Intact Stability and Information. Every passenger ship, regardless of size, and every cargo ship having a length of 24 metres and upwards, shall undergo an inclination test upon its completion of construction, and intact stability information shall be supplied to the master. Ships constructed on or after 1st July 2010 shall be in compliance with the requirements of Part A of the 2008 Intact Stability Code. The code provides minimum standard of ships' intact stability. Regulation 26.4 is means of recovery from dead ship condition. Ships constructed on or after 1st July 1998 shall have the capability to become operational from the dead ship condition without external aid within 30 minutes from blackout. The slide shows typical arrangement for means of recovery. In this case, the primary power supply is from an emergency generator. Regulation 29, Steering Gear. Main steering gear and auxiliary steering gear shall be provided. A relief valve shall be provided on hydraulic oil piping. Where main steering gear has 2 sets of power units, the auxiliary steering gear may be exempted. Regulation 43. Emergency source of electrical power in cargo ships. A self-contained emergency source of electrical power shall be included. It shall be located above uppermost continuous deck and readily accessible from open deck. It shall not be located in front of the collision bulkhead. The source of emergency electrical power may be either a generator or an accumulator battery. The Chapter 2.2 is Construction, Fire Protection and Fire Extinction. The slide shows the structure of the chapter. Part A, General. Part B, Prevention of Fire and Explosion. Part C, Suppression of Fire. Part D, Escape. Part E, Operational Requirements. Part F, Alternative Design and Arrangements. Part G, Special Requirements. In this module, some key elements of the provisions for cargo ships are introduced. Regulation 1, Application. Unless expressly provided otherwise, this chapter shall apply to ships constructed on or after 1st July 2012. In general, ships constructed before the above date shall comply with the previous convention as amended. At the footnote, it states that the application date was amended to 1st July 2012 by Resolution MSC 308/88. However, the resolution includes few amendments to this chapter. Therefore, most of the current provisions in Chapter 2.2 are applicable to the ships constructed on or after 1st July 2002. The slide provides a summary of the amendments. Please remember the explanation regarding the grandfather clause in Chapter 1. New amendments are basically applicable to the ships which are built on or after the date when the amendments come into force. Hence, it is imperative to be aware of the amendment history. Please pay attention to the amendments in the table highlighted in yellow. The fire integrity for cargo ships was introduced in the 1981 amendments. The 2000 amendments totally replaced the regulations and introduced the Fire Safety System Code. Other amendments indicated in red are some of the key items. The slide shows a continuous summary table of the amendments to Chapter 2.2. The slide shows a continuous summary of the amendments to Chapter 2.2. Regulation 2 is the objectives of fire safety. 1. Prevent the occurrence of fire and explosion. 2. Reduce the risk to life caused by fire. 3. Reduce the risk of damage caused by fire to the ship, its cargo, and the environment. 4. Contain, control, and suppress fire and explosion in the compartment of origin. 5. Provide adequate and readily accessible means of escape for passengers and crew. In paragraph 2, the functional requirements are listed to achieve the fire safety objectives in paragraph 1. These functional requirements are embodied in the regulations of this chapter. 1. Division of the ship by thermal and structural boundaries. 2. Separation of accommodation spaces. 3. Restricted use of combustible materials. 4. Detection of any fire. 5. Containment and extinction of any fire. 6. Protection of means of escape. 7. Availability of fire-extinguishing appliances. 8. Minimization of the possibility of ignition of flammable cargo. Regulation 3 Definitions. 22. Fire Safety Systems Code, FSS code, means the International Code for Fire Safety Systems as adopted by Resolution MSC 9873. The purpose of this code is to provide international standards of specific engineering specifications for fire safety systems required by Chapter 2.2 of SOLAS 1974. 23. Fire Test Procedures Code, FTP code, means the International Code for Application of Fire Test Procedures as adopted by Resolution MSC 6167. This code is intended for use by the administration and the competent authority of the flag state when approving products for installation in ships flying the flag of the flag state in accordance with the fire safety requirements of SOLAS 1974. The code shall be used by testing laboratories when testing and evaluating products under this code. Regulation 7.5 is protection of accommodation and service spaces and control stations for cargo ships. Cargo ships shall be protected by installing fire detection and alarm systems depending on one of the three protection methods: Method 1C, Method 2C, or Method 3C. The slide shows a typical image of a fire protection system for the accommodation space of a cargo ship with Method 3C. Fixed fire detection and alarm system is installed in all spaces which has risk of fire origin. No restriction on the type of internal division bulkheads is required. Area of any accommodation spaces bounded by Type A or B class division shall not exceed 50 square metres. Additionally, smoke detectors are required in all corridors, stairways and escape route of accommodation space. Regulation 10 is firefighting. The purpose of this regulation is to suppress and swiftly extinguish a fire at its origin. For this purpose, the following functional requirements shall be met. 1. Fixed fire-extinguishing systems shall be installed having due regard to the fire growth potential of the protected spaces, and 2. Fire-extinguishing appliances shall be readily available. Regulation 10.2 is water supply systems. Ships shall be provided with fire pumps, fire mains, hydrants and hoses, complying with the applicable requirements of this regulation. The slide shows the requirements for fire mains and hydrants. The pipes and hydrants shall be so placed that the fire hoses may be easily coupled to them. The arrangement shall be made in such a manner to avoid the possibility of freezing. Suitable drainage provisions shall be provided for fire main piping. In ships where deck cargo may be carried, the positions of the hydrants shall be such that they are always readily accessible and protected to avoid risk of damage by such cargo. 2.1.4 Isolating valves. The isolating valve is installed to separate the section of fire main within machinery space from the rest of the fire main. In case the main fire pumps in machinery space are damaged and rendered unavailable, water can be delivered from the emergency fire pump equipped in other section. It shall be located at an easily accessible and tenable position outside the machinery spaces. 2.1.5 Number and position of hydrants. The number and position of hydrants shall be such that at least 2 jets of water, not emanating from the same hydrant, one of which shall be from a single length of hose. It may reach any part of the ship normally accessible to the passengers or crew, and any part of any cargo space when empty, any row space or any vehicle space, in which latter case the 2 jets shall reach any part of the space, each from a single length of hose. Furthermore, such hydrants shall be positioned near the accesses to the protected spaces. 2.1.7 International Shore Connection. Ships of 500 gross tonnage and upwards shall be provided with at least one international shore connection complying with the Fire Safety Systems Code. Such a connection is to be used on either side of the ship. The connections enable the ship to accept the support of firefighting from shoreside. 2.2 Ships shall be provided with independently driven fire pumps as indicated in the slide. Sanitary, ballast, bilge, or general service pumps may be accepted as fire pumps, provided that they are not normally used for pumping oil. If they are subject to occasional duty for the transfer or pumping of oil fuel, suitable changeover arrangements are fitted. Cargo ships of 500 gross tonnage and upwards constructed on or after 1 July 2002 shall be equipped with emergency fire pump complying with FSS code. The photo shows the space containing the emergency fire pump. It shall not be contiguous to the boundaries of machinery spaces containing main fire pumps. Where this is not practicable, it shall be protected by an airlock fitted with the door of the machinery space being of A60 class standard, and the other door being at least steel, both reasonably gas-tight, self-closing, and without any hold-back arrangements. The slide is on fire hoses and nozzle. Ships shall be equipped with an adequate number of hoses and nozzles as indicated. The fire nozzle shall be dual-purpose type, able to spray and jet, and incorporating a shut-off. This slide is about portable fire extinguishers. Basically, the type and design shall comply with the requirements of the Fire Safety Systems Code. They shall be installed in the accommodation spaces, service spaces, and control stations. They shall be of the appropriate types and in sufficient number to the satisfaction of the administration. Ships of 1,000 gross tonnage and upwards shall carry at least 5 portable fire extinguishers. One of the portable fire extinguishers shall be stowed near the entrance. Carbon dioxide type shall not be placed in accommodation spaces. The slide showing 3 types of fire extinguishers and their suitable locations are displayed in the table. Spare chargers shall be provided for 100% of the first 10 extinguishers and 50% of the remaining extinguishers. The instructions for recharging shall be available on board. If it cannot be recharged on board, additional portable fire extinguishers of the same quantity, type, capacity and number shall be provided in lieu of spare charges. There are 3 types of fixed fire extinguishing systems, namely gas, high expansion and pressure water spraying. Machinery and cargo spaces shall be protected by one of the fixed fire extinguishing systems. This slide shows a diagram of fixed gas fire extinguishing system. In the diagram, the gas bottles room where the gas bottles are stored and its control system is equipped is indicated in light green. The gas bottles room is required as a control station for fire integrity. The spaces to be protected by this fire extinguishing system, the machinery space and the cargo spaces, are indicated in light blue. The slide shows the important requirements of fixed gas fire extinguishing system. The control valve of conveying pipes shall be clearly marked with the space to which the pipes lead, for example, engine room, number 1 cargo hold. The automatic audible warning of the release gas shall be provided. The alarm shall be automatically activated by opening the cabinet door of the control units for at least 20 seconds. In the system, 2 separate controls shall be provided. The first control is to be used for operating the valve of the piping, which conveys the gas into the protected space. The second control is to be used for discharging the gas from bottles. For the safety of crew, automatic release shall not be permitted. At each location, there shall be clear instructions for the operation of the system. The slide is Fixed Local Application Firefighting System. For cargo ships of 2,000 gross tonnage and above, and constructed on or after 1 July 2002, the machinery spaces of Category A above 500 cubic metres in volume shall be protected by the Fixed Local Application Firefighting System. This system delivers water mist to the places containing machinery with risk of fire, as indicated by the slide, such as cylinder cover top of diesel engine, boiler fronts, incinerators and purifiers for heated fuel oil. In case the machinery space is periodically unattended, the system shall have both automatic and manual release capabilities. Definition of machinery spaces of Category A is provided by Regulation 3.31. The slide shows the image of the arrangement for Fixed Local Application Firefighting System. The slide shows fire extinguishing arrangements in machinery spaces containing oil-fired boilers or oil fuel units. Oil fuel unit is the equipment used for the preparation of oil fuel for delivery to an oil-fired boiler or MIN engine, as provided in Regulation 3.34. The following arrangements are required for the spaces: fixed fire extinguishing system, 1 portable foam applicator unit, 135 litres foam or equivalent, 2 portable foams or equivalent for each location, for each firing space like boiler front. Sand, sawdust impregnated with soda or other approved dry material along with a suitable shovel shall be provided. The slide is additional firefighting equipment for ships carrying containers on or above the weather deck. This is a new requirement and is applicable not only to container ships, but also other cargo ships carrying container cargoes on weather deck. At least one water mist lance shall be provided with a tube and a piercing nozzle, which is capable of penetrating a container wall and producing water mist inside a confined space, container, etc., when connected to the fire main. The slide shows another new requirement for cargo ships designed to carry 5 or more tiers of containers on or above the weather deck. The requirement is applicable for ships constructed on or after 1st January 2016. The mobile water monitors shall be provided for fires occurring in the containers stowed in high places. The slide shows the firefighter's outfit. The outfit consists of personal equipment, protective clothing, boots, helmet, safety lamp, axe, breathing apparatus, lifeline. Firefighters' outfit shall be stored in easily accessible and widely separated positions and permanently and clearly marked. In addition, at least 2 sets of two-way radios shall be provided for each fire party. This slide is about the means of escape. According to this regulation, at least 2 routes shall be provided such that persons on board can safely and swiftly escape to the lifeboat and life raft embarkation deck. These are not less than 700 mm in width and should have a handrail. From the lower part of a machinery space, one of the escape routes is an escape trunk, which is protected by self-closing fire doors with its internal dimensions measuring at least 800 by 800 mm, equipped with emergency lighting. From machinery control rooms and main workshops, 2 means of escape shall be provided. One of these shall provide a continuous fire shelter to a safe position outside the machinery space. The requirement is applicable to ships constructed on or after 1st January 2016. SOLAS Chapter 3 – Life-Saving Appliances and Arrangements. The slide shows the structure of Chapter 3. Part A – General. Part B – Requirements for ships and life-saving appliances. Part C – Alternative Design and Arrangements. LSA Code means the International Life-Saving Appliance Code. The purpose of this code is to provide international standards for life-saving appliances required by this chapter. The slide shows the history of major amendments of Chapter 3. 1983 amendments came into force on 1 July 1986. The amendments introduced the concept of dry shod embarkation, which enables persons on board to survive without getting wet. Requirement for enclosed-type lifeboat instead of open-type lifeboat. 1996 amendments came into force on 1 July 1998, which introduced LSA Code. SOLAS Chapter 3 has been frequently amended, however these 2 are the most important major amendments. The slide shows the structure of Chapter 3 of SOLAS 1974, before and after the LSA Code was introduced. The technical requirements used to be included in the main text of Chapter 3. After the introduction of LSA Code, detailed requirements for life-saving apparatus were shifted and included in the code, and the basic requirements for ships' life-saving equipment are provided in the main text of Chapter 3. The slide shows the important life-saving appliances, the definitions of which are provided in Regulation 3. From the top, survival craft is a craft capable of sustaining the lives of persons in distress from the time of abandoning the ship. Lifeboats and life rafts are the survival crafts to be equipped on ships. Rescue boat is a boat designed to rescue persons in distress and to marshal survival craft. Launching and recovering appliance is to be used for lowering and recovering the rescue boat or lifeboat. Embarkation appliance is used for transferring persons from embarkation deck to lifeboat. Marine evacuation system is an appliance that facilitates rapid transfer of persons from the embarkation deck of a ship to a floating survival craft. Means of rescue is an additional requirement of ro-ro passenger ships for rapidly recovering survivors from the water and transferring survivors from rescue units or survival craft to the ship as provided in Regulation 26.4. Line throwing appliance is used to throw a line with reasonable accuracy to other ships as provided by LSA Code 7.1. The slide shows the various types of lifeboats and their launching systems. At the top left is a totally enclosed lifeboat, which is an ordinary type of lifeboat for cargo ships. At the top centre is a partially enclosed lifeboat for passenger ships, which enables quick embarkation of passengers to the boat. At the top right is an open-type lifeboat and its launching appliance. This appliance was equipped on ships constructed before 1 July 1986, although they still can be effective if maintained properly. With regard to the types of launching appliance, the lower left is davit launching type and the lower right is freefall type. The bulk carriers, as defined in Regulation 1.6 in Chapter 9, constructed on or after 1 July 2006, shall be equipped with freefall type lifeboat. The slide shows the release system of lifeboat. The release system shall have two functions. One is offload release, that is, normal release function. When the boat is lowered in the water, the hydrostatic unit senses that the lifeboat is in water and automatically releases the lifting hook fore and aft. The other function is onload release. It is used on special occasions, such as on rough seas. When the boat is still up in the air just above the water surface, the fore and aft lifting hooks can be released simultaneously by intentional double actions of the operators, by removing the safety pin first and then pulling the release handle. The function of the release system is to ensure that both fore and aft lifting hooks are released simultaneously. It prevents the risk to the lifeboat when one lifting hook is released while the other is still on the boat fall, creating a gravely dangerous situation where the boat is suspended in the air by only one boat fall, as shown in the photo of the slide. Several accidents occurred due to falling lifeboats. Many of them occurred during lifeboat drill conducted by the crew. While the lifeboats are being lowered or being recovered, the lifting hook was suddenly released unintentionally. Many of them occurred due to incomplete reset of the release system. This slide shows the countermeasures taken by IMO to improve the release system. The amendments to Regulation 1.5 of Chapter 3 and LSA Code were adopted, which required the replacement of the release system not later than 1 July 2019. In addition, maintenance requirements were amended by IMO Resolution MSC 404/96. The maintenance, thorough examination, operational testing, overhaul and repair of lifeboats and rescue boats shall be carried out by the certified personnel with a service provider authorised by the administration, except for weekly or monthly inspections and routine maintenance by ship's crew. The Regulation 3.25 of Chapter 3 was amended to make the Resolution MSC 402/96 mandatory that came into force on 1 January 2020. The slide shows the photos of Marine Evacuation System, MES. From the top right in clockwise direction, launching and operating instructions to be posted under emergency illumination light, two types of marine evacuation system in operation, the marine evacuation system together with a rescue boat and an inflatable life raft, the stowage condition of two types of MES with the symbol stickers. The slide shows the photos of personal life-saving appliances. From the top right in clockwise direction, lifebuoys with buoyant lifelines and self-igniting light to be used in case of man overboard. The bottom right shows a life jacket with light. The bottom left is an immersion suit which protects the wearer from hypothermia in cold water. Top left is thermal protective aids, which protects a person against cold weather while waiting for a rescue unit in a survival craft. The slide shows the life-saving appliances for communications. From the top, two-way VHF radio telephone apparatus capable of two-way communication on the designated channels with other survival craft in distress or rescue units. Search and rescue locating devices is used for easy identification of the position of survival craft in distress. Ships shall be equipped with either a 9 GHz search and rescue transponder, 9 GHz SART, or AIS search and rescue transponder. 9 GHz SART transmits the radio signals to indicate the position of the device on the radar screen of rescue units when it receives a radio wave of 9 GHz from the radar of rescue units. As for AIS SART, it transmits an AIS signal of the information on the current position which is obtained by its GPS. The rescue units will receive the information to locate the position of the device by AIS, which includes the range and direction of the position of the device. AIS stands for Automatic Identification System. It is one of the navigational equipment mentioned in Regulation 19.2.4 of Chapter 5, SOLAS. It is explained in the next module, Part 2b. Distress flares is the rocket parachute flare provided in Chapter 3 of the LSA Code. Onboard communication system is an emergency means of two-way communication among emergency control stations, muster and embarkation stations, and strategic positions on board. The two-way VHF radio, mentioned earlier, is usually utilized for this purpose as well. Onboard alarm system is a general emergency alarm system for summoning passengers and crew to muster stations and to initiate the actions included in the muster list. The system shall be supplemented by public address system or other suitable means of communication. Thank you for your kind attention. This concludes Part 2A of this module.